we're going to do a bladed jig here, and this is another thing that I don't make very easy on myself, at least. I'm really partial to a product called the Mustad Fast Hatch. So that's what they look like. I'm sure some people are familiar with them. Might look like a mess in that package, so I'll show you what I do with them. Well, here's one. Here's one by itself. I use this for a line tie, and I've always liked it. So I don't know if you can see that very well. I don't know if you need a better background, but that's a Mustad Fast Hatch. The downside to using it is that you have to open it up. You cannot get it on one of these blades. So I have to open up every one of these and end up with something that looks like this, and attach it to my bladed jig blade. So open it up lets me get it attached, and then I kind of have to recrimp it. Again, there's not a lot of science to what I do. I probably work harder than I should, but and you can put other things on this, but what you end up with here is you've got, I like it because of the free flowing that you've got here. So this thing can wobble. You know, this blade is going to need to oscillate in the water. It's the idea of them. I like it not being another split ring. I like it not being a snap of any kind. I've never trusted snaps. There's probably other options, but I've always liked that, so that's the way that I do them. And again, because of the proprietary stuff with an actual true chatterbait Z-Man bait, unless you're paying them for the rights to attach your blade directly to the hook eye, you better not do that. That's a patented system. So before we skirt it, this is what we're looking at right here. If that makes sense to you before we skirt it. So this is what we've got. Idea being, just like any bladed jig, this thing's going to oscillate. Again, I like this fast attach for a line tie, and we will put we are going to build another alternative here for Jason. This is one I fish a lot personally. It's a chartreuse and white bandit is what I'm calling this skirt color. Don't ask me exactly why I like it on a bladed jig. It's just something that I've had good success with. Probably because that's what I'm throwing. But they do work pretty well. I'll make a couple of variations of it. I've always kind of been a fan of anything that kind of breaks up the silhouette of the bait, you know. Gives it, I mean, you've got a little bit of a scale look to it, I guess. Not just solid colors. And again, I think I haven't had a bass send me an order yet. It's usually the fishermen, so as long as they like it. But I mean, there's some legitimate reasons to you know, all things aren't created equal.
Absolutely.
And I think, you know, I think any fisherman fishes better if he, you know, if he's fishing his favorite, fishing something that he's found that he likes, maybe even something new that he hasn't seen, but willing to give it a try. So I know that's the way I am.
Whichever you got confidence in, right?
Yep, yep. So before I put that on her, you can kind of get a look at how that skirt's going to flare out and kind of mix the colors. we'll trim him up. So now we've got him done except for the trailer we're going to use on it. There's a pretty good look at finished product before the trailer. And that was a 3/8 ounce with the nickel blade on it. And that bait right there is my favorite chatterbait to throw out here. Well, bladed jig to throw out here. And what we will do is we will, you know, trailers are a big part of any baits. If you're going to use a trailer, my favorite is this. There's other things that are probably just as good, but I can't get away from this one after having fished it. The Yamamoto Zako, and it's the bigger one. They make a small one. I don't know what size they really call in this one. I forget, but they make a little bitty one. This one's the bigger one. So, and I don't know if you're noticing this hook. Got a big hay hook in this bait. It's got an awesome hook in it.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. Yeah, I got some buddies that just love this bait. You know, a lot of people can't get past the fact that it's not a chatterbait or not a Z-Man. And I understand that. My marketing department can't compete with them. And I've got some of them. I think I tied one on once last year just to remind myself why I don't like it any better than what I make. And it's not just because I make it. This bait has got a lot more. It's a slower cadence and slower thump. So, you know, a Z-Man or a chatterbait, say you want to kind of burn it through grass or burn it through an area, fish it fast. It has an advantage because you're not really going to run this one real fast because of the O-ring design. Yes, this bait will want to skip to the side on you a little bit. Not as bad as people think, but you cannot run it fast. I don't fish a bladed jig fast anyway, so that suits me just fine. But there's finished product, and that's the way I fish it right there. And that probably 90% of the time, that is the bait I'm throwing out here on the lake early. And you know, they'll bite it other times of the year, but it's just there's an advantage to throwing a bladed jig early. You know, it seems like the fish are a little more willing to eat that bait compared to the profile of a spinnerbait. You know, they can eat this bait, I believe, a little bit easier, a little bit better. Maybe not by the time you put the trailer on it, I suppose, but just seems like with the blades and this thing being compact, and my hookup ratio is really good with one of those. So, and I don't fish trailer hooks, so I get along pretty good with that, just fishing the bait just like that.
So how would they get a hold of you, Keith, if they want to place an order for anything?
Well, of course, I mean, you can find me on Facebook, you know, MarkTwainLakeLures.com. Facebook, and then on the web, you know, we're Mark Twain Lake Lure Company, MarkTwainLakeLures.com. So, and we're running a special through the end of April. What is it? Spring 25. And that's a 15% off and free shipping. So, if you're interested in something, you can give me a holler. Appreciate the business, and you know, good luck fishing.